unit on the mound for the Astros. The Stars are out in San Diego. Electricity charged Qualcomm Stadium. Better than 65,000 on hand for Game 4 of this series. The hometown fans hoping the Padres advance to the NLCS. The Astros trying to send it to Game 5 tomorrow in Houston. And a pleasant good evening to you. Alongside Bob Brindley, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to playoff baseball on Fox. Well, the Astros went out at the trade deadline, Bobby, and acquired Randy Johnson for this very reason, to win the big game, and this is the big game.
Well, Randy Johnson has gotten him this far. Now we'll see what he can do in the postseason. He hasn't had a lot of luck in his past. We've talked a lot about the conditions here at Qualcomm Stadium, the visibility for the hitters. Don't forget, Sterling Hitchcock has got a very deceptive pitch in his own right, a nasty split-fingered fastball that should be hard for the hitters to pick up if visibility is a problem. If it is a problem, I anticipate both managers to play it a little closer to the vest. Look for sacrifice bunts early in the game. Look for runners to be put in motion early in the ball game. Try to play for one run whenever you can.
Each of the three games this series decided by one run. The last 6 times the Astros and the Padres have gotten together, the game decided by one run. Will it happen again? We have Game 4 tonight, and if necessary, Game 5 tomorrow night in Houston, where they've dominated at home.
Well, the Astros are one of those teams that when you get them in their home, they are very tough to beat. You get those Texas fans in that big old dome, and they make a lot of noise. It gets hot and humid in there. You know the Padres want to wrap it up here tonight.
It ain't hot, it ain't humid, but it is rocking in San Diego. You're watching Fox Sports, home of the 1998 World Series. We'll be right back.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. By KFC, home of new popcorn chicken. At KFC, we do chicken right. And by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
Qualcomm Stadium, San Diego, and the Padres, winners in dramatic fashion in front of better than 65,000 last night, take the field. Tony Gwynn and the Padres trying to get back to the National League Championship Series. The last time Gwynn had a chance to do that all the way back in 1984. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Written out by manager Larry Dierker and the Houston Astros. Craig Biggio leads off at second. Richard Hidalgo, the youngster, in center with Derek Bell in right. Jeff Bagwell is the first baseman. Moises Alou is in left field. And you see his numbers career-wise against Sterling Hitchcock. Sean Berry then on at third base. Ricky Gutierrez in short. Brad Ausmus behind the plate for the big unit, Randy Johnson. And on the mound, a 9-game winner during the regular season for San Diego, Sterling Hitchcock.
You see Sterling Hitchcock's numbers on the season. Very crafty left-hander, the complete opposite of Randy Johnson. Johnson very much a power pitcher. Hitchcock very much a finesse pitcher. Going to get a look at his scouting report. He has a good sinker that he can control on both sides of the plate. He also cuts a fastball from time to time. A decent slider, a very good changeup. And he was outstanding in the second half of the season. On a roll heading into the postseason.
Defensively for San Diego, Tony Gwynn has been marvelous through the years. He made a great play throwing out Moises Alou in the 7th inning last night. Caminiti, a pair of gold gloves at third. Kilby Olvera's a couple of key plays at second base in the San Diego win last night. Game 3 to take a 2-1 lead. This broadcast, a reminder, is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. So we're set to go. Bagwell and the Astros trying to beat up on Hitchcock and head to Game 5 tomorrow in Houston. And Craig Biggio shows bunt, looks at a strike, and we're underway. Very little sting among the Killer Bees again in this series. They did go 3 of 11 on Thursday in the Houston victory, but 1 for 10 last night for the second time in 3 games. That one popped up, and it will drop into the seats. 0-2 to Biggio. If you go back to last year when the Astros were swept in a 3-game division series against Atlanta, The Killer Bees of Derek Bell, Jeff Bagwell, and Craig Biggio, a combined 6 hits in 68 at-bats.
I think a lot of that has to do, Tom, obviously, with the starting pitching that you face in a short series. You're going to see the 3 best pitchers on a staff in the short series. You're not going to see the 4 and 5 starter. You're not going to see very many middle relievers. But also, I think the Killer Bees are putting a lot of pressure on themselves.
On the ground at Perry. And Biggio retired to begin the game.
Well, I mentioned that Hitchcock is not overpowering, but he's crafty. He will change speeds. As you can see, Biggio well out in front of that pitch. A very defensive, off-balance swing. And a harmless ground ball right to Veras at second base.
In the first 3 games of this series, the 2 teams have combined for just 15 runs and only 39 hits. Richard Hidalgo getting a start in center field, and he takes high and away, ball 1. Hidalgo, a native Venezuelan, only 23 years old, started 30 of the first 53 on the season and separated his right shoulder and didn't come back until the middle of July. A very effective platoon in center field with Hidalgo and Carl Everett, who's had an outstanding year.
You know, talking to Tom McCraw, the hitting instructor for the Astros, he really gets the feeling Hidalgo is going to be something special in the major leagues. He predicts that this guy could possibly be a 30-30 player as he gets more experience, more playing time.
1-2.
With Hidalgo for the Astros and Ruben Rivera in center field tonight for the Padres, we're possibly getting a look at some of the fine young outfielders that are going to be stars in the National League for years to come.
Ruben Rivera, his right-handed bat in the lineup, replacing the left-handed batting Steve Finley, both outstanding defenders in center field. And Hidalgo is gone on strikes. 2 away.
Well, exactly what you would expect with a crafty veteran on the mound, a crafty veteran catching, and a rookie at the plate. Take advantage of his aggressiveness. He swings at a ball that bounces about a foot in front of home plate, about 6 inches off the outside corner.
Sterling Hitchcock and Jim Leyritz go all the way back to their days together with the New York Yankees when Leyritz became the personal catcher of a struggling young left-hander in Sterling Hitchcock. And they've worked together the majority of Hitchcock's 27 starts since Leyritz came over in the trade.
A lot of managers hesitate to say that this is his valet catcher, but you can't argue with results. You have a pitcher that goes out there and takes the mound, and he's comfortable with that catcher. He's confident that the catcher's going to call the correct pitches. I think it's something you almost have to do as a manager. We've seen Bobby Cox do it in Atlanta with Greg Maddux and Eddie Perez this year, and here in San Diego with Sterling Hitchcock and Jim Leyritz.
2-0 now to Derek Bell. Bell, a former San Diego Padre, acquired by Houston, a blockbuster deal. Back in 1994, Doug Brocail, Ricky Gutierrez, Pedro Martinez, Bill Plantier, and Craig Shipley. Traded for Caminiti, Cedeno, Steve Finley, Roberto Pettagini, and Brian Williams. A trade that clearly has worked out very well for both teams.
Would you call that a blockbuster?
Or at least a mini one. 2-1 to Derek Bell. And there's a strike.
Look at this pitch. Leyritz set up on the outside corner, catches a pitch right in front of him. Randy Marsh, the home plate umpire, is not one of those umpires that will give the pitchers a lot of leeway on the corners. He's generally considered to be a hitter's umpire.
3-2 now to Derek Bell, trying to keep things alive for Jeff Bagwell, who waits in the on-deck circle. 2 down, nobody on, just underway in San Diego. One, 2, 3. Go the Astros. Randy Johnson will now take the mound to face the Padres.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Toyota Trucks, with you for the long haul.
Bottom of the first inning we go, and a San Diego Padres lineup filled out by manager Bruce Bochy. Kilby O'Barra is at second. Tony Gwynn in right field. Greg Vaughn is in left. Ken Caminiti, the third baseman. Jim Lehrer. The postseason heroics continue for him. Game 2 tied it. Game 3 won it in the 7th. Wally Joyner is at first base. Ruben Rivera in center. Chris Gomez the shortstop. Sterling Hitchcock on the mound, facing 35-year-old fire-breathing left-hander Randy Johnson.
So you see his 11 starts with the Astros. It doesn't get much stronger than that. 4 shutouts, allowed only 57 base hits in just over 84 innings pitched. Not many people don't know the Randy Johnson scouting report. Blazing fastball in the mid to high 90s, a devastating sweeping slider. Really turned it around with the Astros, and it's yet to be determined if he knows how to win the big games.
Randy Johnson staring in. He faces Kilby O'Barra, and there's strike 1. There's 2 of 11 in the series. Has walked once, struck out 4 times. Randy Johnson, of course, suffered the loss in Game 1 against Kevin Brown. He just had no run support. Johnson went 8 innings, allowed 8 hits, 2 runs, struck out 9. Tonight's game marks his 8th career postseason appearance, his 7th start. And that one fouled out of play. 2 strikes now on Beers. The last time Randy Johnson won a game as a starter in the postseason, you have to go all the way back to Game 3 of the American League Division Series when he defeated the Yankees. He won Game 5 out of the bullpen and has not won a postseason game since.
Well, for those of you who are looking for the radar gun speed on Randy Johnson's pitches, hang with us.
Beres tried to hold back and he went too far. Johnson his first strikeout.
That big sweeping slider from Randy Johnson. The ball starts on the outside part of the plate, sweeps all the way across the strike zone, and usually ends up out of the strike zone, down and in. Very tough pitch to hit, very tough pitch to hold up on.
Well, here comes the amazing Tony Gwynn, a San Diego native, 38 years old, his 17th season with the Padres. First pitch swinging, and he fouls it off and out of play. 0-1 to Gwynn. Topped the 300 mark this season to Gwynn for the 16th consecutive year. A 14-time All-Star. Been bothered with an inflamed left Achilles tendon. Missed 18 games during the regular season. Blown away, 1-1 to Gwynn.
I think it's funny to watch Tony Gwynn. You can tell when he's facing a pitcher that he's not really too sure how he's going to do well against. He's going to attack early in the count. Normally Gwynn is very patient, will work deep into the count, try to work the count in his favor. But when he's facing a guy like a Randy Johnson, a Tom Glavine, a John Smoltz, some of the premier pitchers in baseball, he's more aggressive early in the count.
Gwynn slaps it into left field. Going from sun to shade is Moises Alou, 2 away.
Well, this is very much a defensive swing on the part of Tony Gwynn, but yet he still drives the ball with authority. Very little foot movement, uses his upper body, his arms, his wrist, just flips that ball into left field, but it carries about 330 feet to straightaway left. Actually hit that ball too hard. Tony Gwynn's game is just shooting it out there over the shortstop's head into shallow left field.
Greg Vaughn settles in, and there's a base hit through the hole into left field. Vaughn homered against Randy Johnson, you may remember, in Game 1.
Once again, attacking early in the count. Greg Vaughn, very much a pull hitter. He tries to pull pitches even on the outside part of the plate or off the outside corner. Front side opens up. He's still able to get the head of the bat on the ball and drive it through the left side of the infield.
Ken Caminiti, the cleanup hitter, with 1 on and 2 out. Looks at strike 1 from Johnson. Caminiti in the series, 2 hits in 11 at-bats, has not knocked in a run. During the regular season, the 29 home runs, 82 batted in, missed 21 games with a strained left quadricep. And he's quickly behind Johnson, 0-2.
Well, because of the time of year, Tom, the shadows don't appear to be as big a problem as we initially anticipated. I'm sure it's very hard for the batters to see, but you can see the light standard shadows are well out into shallow center field right now. Earlier in the year at this time of day, those shadows were right over the pitcher's mound.
Gone swinging is Caminiti. Johnson fans 2 in the first inning. 1 hit, 1 left. Go to the second, no score. Leonard Coleman, president of the National League, flanked by Don Baylor to his right, former Colorado manager, and of course Fox's very own, he just happens to be a Hall of Famer, incidentally, Frank Robinson.
A couple of pretty good bodyguards right there for Leonard Coleman. Nobody's going to mess with him with those two guys sitting around.
Isn't that the truth? No scores. We open the second inning, game 4 of this National League Division Series. Jeff Bagwell, first pitch swinging, fouls it out of play. For entertainment value, this clearly has won an Emmy Award compared to the other 3 division series. The Yankees winning in 3, the Braves sweeping Chicago in 3, and Cleveland roaring back in 4 to defeat Boston 3-1. Many believe with Johnson on the mound, this one's headed back to Houston tomorrow night, although you might get a debate on that from 65,000 plus here in San Diego.
So much for the laid-back fans here in San Diego. This place has been an organized riot for 2 days.
2-1 now to Bagwell. 34 home runs, 111 runs batted in during the regular season, 1 of 11 in the series. Tardy again on the swing was Bagwell, and now the count at 2-2. We had a chance to visit with Jim Leyritz, the San Diego catcher, before the ball game today, and he told us that Sterling Hitchcock was ready to roll.
He's really been relying a lot on his sinking fastball away from the right-hand hitters, cutting a fastball into him. That's a high four-seamer right there.
He's gone on strikes already, the 3rd strikeout of the game for Sterling Hitchcock.
Leyritz also told us that the split finger has been his out pitch throughout the second half of the season, but here's a good high fastball up and out over the plate, a dangerous location to Jeff Bagwell, but has just enough on it to get it by him.
Well, if the Astros are going to send this to a 5th game in Houston and then set their sights on the Atlanta Braves in the League Championship Series, they need Moises Alou to again find his stroke. Hit .312 during the season. On the ground, Veras is there, and Alou is gone. Alou 3 of 13 in this series. Did not homer in his final 102 at-bats during the regular season, his first 13 at-bats in this series.
It's always big for Sterling Hitchcock if he's able to retire Moises Alou, but to be able to retire him on 1 pitch in the first at-bat of the ball game. I'm sure Alou is very familiar with Sterling Hitchcock and his stuff, but to go to the plate and see 1 pitch and be retired and have to sit there and wait for 2 innings until your next at bat, you really don't get much of a look at a pitcher seeing only 1 pitch.
2 down, nobody on. Houston in search of its first base runner, and it's strike 1. The Astros have platooned at third base all season long. Billy Spires will start against the right-handers, Berry against the left-handers, and they've combined to knock in 95 runs. And it's 0-2 to Berry.
Now with Berry in the lineup, the Astros run 6 consecutive batters to start the ball game, all hitting over 300. Haven't seen a lot of that offense so far in this series, but the potential is there.
The 0-2 on the way. Fastball mistimed outside.
You may have noticed Jim Leyritz shaking his head yes after receiving that pitch. Even though it was out of the strike zone, up and away, that's the pitch, that's the location they wanted that pitch. Probably to set up the next pitch.
Strike 3 swinging to Berry. Hitchcock is fanned 4 of the first 6 Houston batters. Jimmy Leyritz will bat when we come back.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Wendy's Spicy Chicken Sandwich. When you're hot, you're hot. And by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running.
Head for the bottom half of the second inning here in San Diego. Padre fans hoping to celebrate a trip to the National League Championship Series by night 10, leading this 2-1. No score as Jim Leyritz begins things against Randy Johnson. It's ball one. Leyritz, who has 5 home runs in 14 postseason games, looks at a strike. He further cemented his reputation as one of the decade's clutch players last night with a game-winning home run in the bottom of the 7th inning against Scott Ellerton. Boy, Leyritz, just an amazing story. 34 years old, out of Cincinnati, was not even drafted coming out of the University of Kentucky. A non-drafted free agent signed by the Yankees. And now he's ahead of Johnson at 3 balls and a strike. Labored in the minor leagues with the Yanks, then starred in the postseason, has moved on to Anaheim, Texas, Boston, now San Diego as it's 3-2. And here's a home run last night.
Leyritz got a breaking ball from Scott Ellerton, hooked it into left field. Generally, he will hit the fastball to the opposite field and pull off speed pitches. However, on that 3-1 pitch from Randy Johnson, he geared it up.
He drives this to deep left center field. Leyritz has delivered again. Jim Leyritz fast becoming known as a 1990s version of Mr. October. I mean, what this guy's done is unbelievable. 6 home runs in 34 postseason at-bats. And a flair for the dramatic indeed.
Well, there are those guys that really love the pressure. They love the spotlight. They like it when everybody's watching and expecting them to do something. Leyritz obviously one of those guys.
Well, you go all the way back to 1995, Bobby, in that series against Seattle in the 15th inning off Tim Belcher. The Mark Wohlers home run in Game 4 of the World Series. And how about this year? That one fouled off down the third base line. For Leyritz, his 3rd home run of the series. He's knocked in 5. 1-2 to Wally Joyner. Fouled out of play.
The shaved head is a new look since his last postseason appearance. Certainly no Samson theory there.
No. Joyner out of there swinging. First out here in the 2nd inning.
Well, I mentioned Leyritz had a great cut at the 3-1 pitch, a fastball that he was right on, the high leg kick. Comes back, gets the head of the bat out in front of home plate. He knows it's gone. Watch that front leg kick, keeps his weight back, dives in there and drives through the ball. The bat coming through at a downward arc, a fastball right over the heart of the plate. Leyritz with that slight chopping action on the ball gets tremendous backswing, or backspin rather. The ball seems to carry forever.
Well, the 6 home runs that Leyritz has hit in the postseason, 3 of them have come in the 8th inning or later, as that one is lifted into shallow center field, drifting out to the grass is Biggio, and he's got it to retire Ruben Rivera. But 3 of his postseason home runs have come in the 8th inning or later, which either tied the game or gave his team the lead. And only 2 others have accomplished that in the history of baseball. Pete Rose and Johnny Bench. Interesting to note, obviously both of them longtime Cincinnati Reds. Jim Leyritz grew up in Cincinnati rooting for the Reds and going to the Reds spring training every year in Tampa, Florida.
I say that's emulating your heroes a little bit to an extreme. That's pretty good company, though, Pete Rose and Johnny Bench.
Chris Gomez, the batter, and he takes down low. 2 balls and no strikes. 1-0. San Diego here in the second inning. 3-0. And Gomez has walked on 4 straight pitches.
Well, there were times throughout Randy Johnson's career when he would get flustered after giving up a home run or losing the strike zone for a hitter. He would become his own worst enemy out there on the mound. I don't believe that's the case here, but you know he did not want to walk the number 8 hitter.
And he's gone ball 1 on Sterling Hitchcock. 7 hits and 50 at-bats for Hitchcock this year. And there's a fast strike. Prior to the division series, the only career appearance against San Diego made by Johnson was during interleague play back on the 24th of June. He beat Andy Ashby 2-1. And it's 2-1 now on Hitchcock.
And you can see Johnson looking away with disgust after missing with that 1-1 pitch. He's even taking a little bit off here, just trying to guide it over the plate with the opposing pitcher up there.
2-2. In a deal that truly shocked the baseball world, there were rumors Randy Johnson was going to the Yankees, going to Cleveland, wound up in Houston for a couple of minor leaguers. On the ground at the shortstop, and Gutierrez throws out Hitchcock to end the inning. But Jim Leyritz has done it again. A curtain call, and it's 1-0 Padres. Jimmy Leyritz again making his presence known in this series. Of course, that's a story on Leyritz. Game 4, 96 World Series. A 3-run home run off Mark Wohlers, which tied the game. A game eventually won by the Yankees in extra innings. And then in Game 2 of this series against Billy Wagner.
A high fastball about 99 miles an hour up and out over the plate and hit it right down the right field line. And I was saying at the time that Leyritz generally hits fastballs to the opposite field and pulls off speed pitches, but during the course of that at bat, he was gearing it up for Randy Johnson's fastball, and he smoked it.
3rd home run in this series alone for Leyritz. 1-0 Padres as we open the 3rd. And the former Padre, Ricky Gutierrez, the shortstop, looks at a strike. Hitchcock, 6 up, 6 down. He's staying 4. What's he doing, Bobby? Houston looks like they have no clue what Hitchcock's doing.
Well, he's changing speeds very well for one thing, spotting his fastball and using that big overhand curveball that we just saw right there to Ricky Gutierrez.
5th strikeout of the first 7 Astros to come to the plate.
I mean, right now you cannot get the ball back to Sterling Hitchcock quickly enough if you're a catcher. He's in a nice groove out there, a very good rhythm on the mound. He can throw the ball in the dirt when he wants to. He can go up high out of the strike zone when he wants to, and he's been able to get a lot of the Astros hitters to chase that pitch right there. The 2-strike pitch just off the outside corner in the dirt.
Hitchcock now facing the catcher, Brad Ausmus. And a check swing. He went around. 0-1. Hitchcock during the regular season, 39 games, 27 starts, a career best 3.93 ERA. Boy, does he have it working tonight. 0-2. And he has outstanding control. He has walked 2 or fewer in 21 of the 27 starts, 3 or less in 25 of his 27 starts. One and 2.
Well, if history holds true, he'll throw that split-fingered pitch in that same location he just missed with that fastball. Just off the outside corner, down in the dirt. Ausmus not biting that time, however. Brad Ausmus has been watching as well. As the game progresses, of course you have an advanced scouting report, and you know these guys from facing them during the regular season. But as the game progresses, certain patterns will emerge. We've seen already that Hitchcock likes to go to that pitch in the dirt with 2 strikes.
There it is again, and again he picks up the strikeout. 8 Houston Astros have come to the plate. 6 have struck out.
Ausmus hitting out of that exaggerated crouch. That pitch is close enough to the outside corner that he has to start his swing. He gets about halfway through and realizes the pitch is going to end up in the dirt, but it's too late to hold up.
Randy Johnson looks at a strike. Johnson 2 hits in 32 at-bats after coming from the American League to the National League. Going back to August 29th here in San Diego, Hitchcock struck out 15 Montreal Expos in a game, but lost 3-1. 2-1 now to Johnson. So far in the first 2 2/3, unhittable. Two and two.
Now, I'd really be surprised if that trend changes during the course of this at-bat. Randy Johnson has shown in his brief stay in the National League that he's not particularly enamored with hitting.
Trying to fan the side and done. Seven strikeouts in the first 3 for Hitchcock. He leads 1-0. Head for the bottom of the third, 1-0 San Diego. Sterling Hitchcock dealing tonight.
Hey, first of all, you can see the background that this split finger pitch is coming out of. Very bright, a lot of fuzz in the background. There's the downward movement on that pitch, the tumbling action. Just a devastating pitch. The arm motion is exactly like his fastball. The action on the pitch is off speed and tailing down and away from the right-handers.
Well, if someone would have come up to you before the game and said going to the bottom of the third inning, it'll be 1-0, as Veras chops out one foul. And one of the starting pitchers will have fanned 7 of the first 9 batters he's faced, while the other would have allowed a run on 2 base hits. It would have been no debate which avenue you would have made the wager on. But it's worked out the other way thus far for San Diego. 1-2 to Veras, who will be followed by Tony Gwynn, and then Greg Vaughn in the Padres' third. Veras out on strikes, 4th of the game for Johnson. We talked to Tony Gwynn about the strength of this San Diego team.
Pitching and defense is really the basis of our ball club. Man, we got good starting pitching, a good bullpen. We play pretty good defense. Those 2 things we feel like are going to keep us in the ball game. And so offensively, we just got to generate enough to win the particular game. And but I honestly feel like if we get things going offensively, we're going to be a much better club than we are right now.
And that was the kind of team, as Gwynn is down a strike, that National League foes saw through the first 5 months of the season. But then all of a sudden the offense went south for San Diego. After clinching on September the 12th, they lost 9 of their last 13 games and collectively hit .228, averaging a little better than 3 runs a contest. They've had trouble hitting.
And a lot of that has to do with the nagging injuries. Bruce Bochy is very quick to point out they've been able to avoid the devastating injuries. But they've had a lot of nagging injuries all year. All right. Brad Ausmus set up on the outside corner for Tony Gwynn right here. Breaking ball on the outside corner, comes down the middle with a fastball, tries to hit the outside corner with a fastball, and then moves back inside on Tony Gwynn. A catch by catch. You can see Brad Ausmus sliding around back there, setting up those pitches.
On the ground, down to third, and Sean Berry throws out Vaughn. 1, 2, 3, go. The Padres into third. 1-0. San Diego in front. Houston coming to bat here in the top of the fourth inning, trailing the Padres, and Sterling Hitchcock 1-0. Top of the order, 9 up, 9 down through the first 3 innings for Hitchcock. And Biggio behind, strike one. He bounced to the second baseman. Veras leading off the ball game. Nine batters faced, 7 strikeouts for Sterling Hitchcock.
Has not made a mistake in the center of the plate yet.
Did that hit Biggio? Yes, it did. And there is the first Houston base runner of the game.
Hitchcock has really gone to work in this ball game. We're going to get a look at all 7 strikeouts. Split finger in the dirt, split finger on the corner, a high fastball, another split in the dirt, another split in the dirt. There's a pattern developing here, I believe. Randy Johnson, he challenged with a fastball on the 2-strike count, but every hitter but one, he retired on that split finger in the dirt down low and away.
Keep an eye on Biggio at first base. 50 steals during the regular season. And Richard Hidalgo, the batter, looks at strike one. Biggio with 51 doubles and 50 stolen bases became just a second player in Major League history to have 50 or more doubles and 50 or more stolen bases in a season. Tris Speaker, the last player to do it, all the way back 1912.
And stealing bases is an offensive weapon that the Astros should use in this ball game when they get opportunities. Leyritz threw out only 1 of 11 attempted base stealers on the season. Hitchcock, you see his move to first base right there. Not a great move to first. Take another look at that pickoff move to first base. This is the standard move that a lot of left-handers use with the high leg kick. Doesn't really use the slide step effectively, which is why Hitchcock is very easy to run on.
Well, the Astros stole 155 bases as a team during the season, only 1 in this series.
A lot of left-handed pitchers will look home and throw to first, which is what Hitchcock does right here. When they look to first, they throw home. It's a very general thing, but that's usually a starting point as a base runner.
Biggio not fooled at all by this move.
Well, and many times if a left-hander does not have a good pickoff move, you would be better served not even to show your move. Let the hitter keep guessing over there. If you show him a couple of moves to first base, especially your good move, and you don't fool that base runner, you're in deep trouble.
Hidalgo into center field, a base hit. The Astros have the first 2 aboard against Hitchcock here in the 4th inning, trailing by a run. Hidalgo's first hit of the series.
And one of the first mistakes from Sterling Hitchcock, gets a pitch up and over the heart of the plate. Hidalgo just guides it back through the middle of the field. You can see the rotation. That's a 4-seam fastball right in the heart of the plate. Up about mask level on the catcher, Jim Leyritz. Hidalgo lines it back through the middle.
Well, this is a high-octane Houston offense. They scored more runs than any other team in the National League. Had 6 players bat .300 or better, 4 that hit 20 or more home runs, 3 that knocked in 100 or more, including Derek Bell. On the ground, to second for 1, throw to first, and that's a double play.
Very aggressive hitting on the part of the Astros, chasing another first pitch. Routine ground ball right to shortstop. You heard Tony Gwynn talk about pitching and defense. 155 double plays turned by the Padres defense this year. Kilvio Veras in the middle of it all, nursing 2 sore shoulders. Will probably require surgery on the left shoulder after the season's over.
Now Jeff Bagwell, and he looks at ball 1. Bagwell struck out on a pitch up and away from him, leading off the 2nd inning. The tying run is at 3rd with 2 away here in the 4th. A ball to strike.
You see Bagwell hitting out of that exaggerated crouch. That has to be a very uncomfortable position to hold for very long. I would think it would work to Hitchcock's advantage. The longer he can hold that ball out there on the rubber before delivering it. Let Bagwell sit in that crouch as long as possible before delivering the ball.
Fastball missed away. 2-1 to Bagwell. A chance to tie the game here in the fourth. A Jim Leyritz home run leading off the second against Randy Johnson. The only damage done thus far. Two and two.
Bagwell shaking his head. Hitchcock continues to change speeds on that breaking ball. He'll throw a hard breaker that has a little less movement, but obviously more velocity. He'll take some off and make it bigger and slower.
65,000 come to their feet on the 2-2 to Bagwell. Into center field, tie game. Bagwell on a 2-2 pitch. Knocks in his fourth run of the series. It's 1-1.
Left fielder, Moises Alou.
While we have a moment, time for our Aflac trivia question. Randy Johnson has lost 4 straight postseason games. Who is the last pitcher to lose 5 in a row in the postseason?
Well, Dave Stewart is not sure of the answer, so he's going to go out to the mound and see if Sterling Hitchcock knows the answer to our Aflac trivia question. We're going to get a look at that last pitch that Jeff Bagwell lined into center field. Hitchcock, I mentioned, made a mistake on Hidalgo. Got a pitch up over the heart of the plate. Once again, a pitch on the outside corner, but up about belt high. And Bagwell with a much more controlled swing with the 2-strike count. You can see him staying on that ball, lining it right back where it came from. Bagwell normally comes out of his shoes swinging at fastballs, but with 2 strikes, he's a little more disciplined, a little more likely just to put the ball in play. And Hitchcock jumping around, stomping his feet out there on the mound. He's mad at himself. He knows he made a mistake.
Keep an eye on Bagwell. 19 stolen bases during the regular season. See the numbers on Alou in the series. 3 hits and 13 at-bats. Has not driven in a run after knocking in 124 during the regular season.
I'm amazed always at watching Moises Alou and how still he is at the plate. Most hitters have some kind of a loading mechanism where they get their weight back onto their back foot and then stride forward into the ball or perhaps in towards home plate a little bit. Alou he looks like a statue up there until that pitcher releases the ball.
1-0 pitch to Alou is high. 2 balls, no strikes.
See what Moises Alou has done this year. 38 homers, 124 ribbies, 340 total bases. Team leaders in all those categories.
But again, has not homered in his last 102 regular season at-bats and his first 13 at-bats here in the division series. Hitters count right here at 2-0, and Hitchcock will send Bagwell back to the bag. The Astros love to run.
Yeah, they really do. We asked Larry Durker earlier this season, who on your team has the green light? And he laughed at us and said they all do. I just tell them when I don't want them to run. Puts a lot of faith in his veteran players to know game situations, know counts, know what pitch to pick the run on.
2-0 to Alou. Popped up. Shallow right center field. Veras drifting back, and he makes a play to retire the side. But Jeff Bagwell has tied the game with a run-scoring single in the fourth. Leyritz and the Padres back in a moment. The answer to our Aflac trivia question: Randy Johnson has lost 4 straight postseason games. Who's the last pitcher to lose 5 in a row? Schoolboy Rowe, one of the great names in all of baseball history, back from 34 to 1940. A 1-1 game as Randy Johnson faces Ken Caminiti last of the fourth inning. Caminiti struck out, ending the first. And Johnson threw that one right by him, 0-2.
Now this will be the last inning probably where the glare behind the pitcher will be a factor. The shadows have moved up onto that hitting background. And probably by the end of this inning, it will not be a factor. That background will be completely in the shade. It should improve the conditions for the hitters in this ball game. I guess at that point, we'll determine how much of it has been the starting pitching up to this point and how much of it has been the shadows.
Johnson has struck out 4, allowed a run on a Jimmy Leyritz home run leading off the second. And it's still 0-2 to Caminiti. Well, the Padres' main man in this series, Jim Leyritz, waits in the on-deck circle. He'll be followed by Wally Joyner. Caminiti gone on strikes, 5th of the game by Johnson. Let's go back to the second inning.
Fastball from Randy Johnson down and over the heart of the plate. Jim Leyritz, a good low ball hitter. Golfs it about 10 rows up into the bleachers in deep left center field.
Pitch on the way, and it missed outside to Leyritz. 1-0.
Leyritz really has a flair in that batter's box. You can see the unorthodox stance at the plate. We saw the high leg kick, the way he twirls the bat around after taking a pitch.
And his idol is Pete Rose, and one thing you notice on Leyritz, he looks the ball all the way into the catcher's mitt and then snaps his neck back out to the mound. Pete Rose used to do that every single pitch. Low better than 4,200 hits in his career. 3-1 on the way. 3-2 as Leyritz comes up empty. Into the seats, still 3-2 to Leyritz.
Yeah, checking that bat for cracks. Shoot that ball right off the end of the bat, protecting the plate.
Got him looking. Locked him up. And that's a 6th strikeout of the game for Johnson.
Now the slower breaking ball that time from Randy Johnson took a little bit off that pitch. You see that high leg kick, Sadahara O-like. It's almost like as a batter, he's winding up along with the pitcher.
Wally Joyner struck out against Johnson back in the second inning. And that one is low, a ball, a strike. Since serving up the Leyritz home run to begin the second inning, Johnson has fanned 4 and allowed only 1 base runner. That was a 2-out walk in the second to Chris Gomez. Jam shot roller down to third. And the Padres retired in order for a second straight inning by Johnson. End of 4 in game 4. Tied at 1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Tom Brenneman, Bob Brenly, our entire Fox crew on hand at Qualcomm Stadium in front of better than 65,000 in San Diego. A 1-1 game as we open the 5th inning. Last night's crowd, the largest to see a baseball game this season, and the largest ever in San Diego. And tonight might be even bigger than that. John Berry watches that pitch from Hitchcock bounce up there, and the count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Berry will be followed by Gutierrez and then Ausmus. Berry struck out in the second inning. Popped up, could be playable, and foul ground. Joyner gives way to Barris, who makes the catch. Coming up on Tuesday, King of the Hill reveals a shocking secret. Then Road Rage hits Costello, followed by Guinness World Records Prime Time, a night of all new episodes, Tuesday starting at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. And Bobby, we can't do a King of the Hill promo without your impersonation of Hank Hill.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby. This is a heck of a ball game.
That was fouled out of play. And it's 0-1 to Gutierrez.
Bobby, pay attention to the game, boy.
Well, you like that show.
I really do. Hank Hill, he's my hero. You need a hero in your life.
That one bounces up there.
Hank's got his hands full with Bobby and Lou Ann and the rest of the gang, and of course all the people down at the propane plant. A lot of kids here at the ball game tonight. Good to see the youngsters coming back to baseball again this year.
What a year it has been. As Gutierrez dribbles that one foul, he's behind 1 ball and 2 strikes. That with Mark McGuire and of course Sammy Sosa, Cal Ripken, Barry Bonds, 400. Just a little bit shy, we understand, of last night. Gutierrez loses the bat. Second night in a row he's done that, and he's gone swinging. 8th strikeout of the game for Hitchcock, his first in the last 2 innings, after getting 7 over the first 3.
Generally, when a hitter loses his bat swinging like this, you're trying to extend your swing a little bit. Heads up in the living room. Hey, you're looking for 1 speed. The pitcher throws something that's slower, and you try to really extend your swing, stretch your arms out, try to reach out there and extend that bat. Usually that's when it comes out of the grip and goes flying into the stands or near the cameras.
1 run, 2 hits for the Astros. 1 run, 2 hits for the Padres. We're in the top of the 5th, none on, 2 out. 2-0 to Brad Ausmus. Ausmus 2 hits in 7 trips during this division series. He had a couple of hits in game 1 against Kevin Brown. No one else could figure him out. How about what Kevin Brown has done in this postseason? Game 1 beat Randy Johnson, and last night coming back on 3 days rest, gave up 1 run in his 7 innings.
Okay, Kevin Brown is going to make a lot of hitters into broadcasters. That guy has unbelievable stuff. I don't know that I've ever seen a pitcher have the kind of velocity along with the movement that Kevin Brown is able to consistently get. And the wind-up, the delivery, everything about him is deceiving. At times he'll turn his back on the hitter like Louis Tiant used to do. He'll drop down sidearm. He'll come straight over the top. Very, very tough pitcher to get a beat on.
Hitchcock looking for his 9th strikeout. And Ausmus tries to quiet the crowd. That's not going to work. Not here, not tonight. It is the 9th strikeout of the game for Hitchcock. Padres will come to the plate, bottom of the 5th, tied with Houston, 1 apiece.
This Division Series game on Fox is brought to you by MasterCard, official card of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime, and by McDonald's. Right now, get back with Big Mac at participating McDonald's and get something groovy every time.
So we're back at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. Our aerial pictures courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Eagle, based in Carson, California. Nearly 65,000 on hand tonight. Padres trying to close out Houston. We're tied at 1 as we begin the bottom of the 5th. Ruben Rivera pops it up to the right side. 1 pitch and 1 out. That pop fly nearly reached the Goodyear Blimp.
And more first pitch hacking. Both teams being, I think, a little overly aggressive in this ballgame. Earlier in the game, you could understand that because of the visibility problems. Everybody wanted to pick a pitch early in the count and get on it before they had to work deep and see breaking balls and split fingers and what have you. But now that the visibility has improved somewhat, I think you'll see the hitters trying to work a little deeper in the count against both of these pitchers.
Chris Gomez walked his first time up, lines this one hard, and Moises Salud battles the lights. Makes the play, 2 away. Let's take a look at our MCI WorldCom game summary. Randy Johnson beginning to settle in. He's retired 9 in a row. Hitchcock brilliant through the first 3. Allowed a 2-out run scoring single to Jeff Bagwell after Laritz had given the Padres a 1-0 advantage with a home run in the second.
Hitchcock with 9 strikeouts in the ball game tonight, had 9 in his last 2 starts of the season.
He bounced out his first time up to the shortstop Gutierrez. It's 0-2. Randy Johnson has set down 11 of the last 12.
Biggio battling that sun as it came through up near the top of the stadium here at Qualcomm.
It doesn't appear, Bobby, you brought it up, as though the sun will be much of a factor the rest of the night.
I don't think it will be, Tom. The lights have not yet taken over here at Qualcomm Stadium, but the background is much better.
And Johnson strikes out Hitchcock, looking to end the inning. Johnson threw 5, 7 strikeouts, a 1-1 game.
Well, Qualcomm Stadium is no Fenway Park with its nooks and crannies, but it is the fastest infield grass, natural grass in baseball, especially now that the Chargers have been playing. It's a little chewed up as well. Tough lights in left field. Humpback line drives get hung up in those lights all the time, according to Tony Gwynn. And the bullpens here. You can see down the left and right field line, fielders will actually get over in that corner from time to time, chasing balls that come down the line and go that direction. May not seem like much, but once you get back in that corner with the ball, you have to throw it back to the infield directly over the stands. Either that or have your cutoff man come out into that location where the outfielder can see him. It's conceivable that an outfielder would throw the ball over the stands to get it back into the infield.
Well, we had a little bit of controversy involving a fan here last night as Randy Johnson strikes out to begin the 6th inning. 10th strikeout of the game for Sterling Hitchcock.
Season ticket holder by the name of Don Sherman was sitting out in that area there. He may be sitting there right now, as a matter of fact. The ball was headed for the bullpen. He stood up from his seat and made the play, and was ejected from the ballpark for interfering with a ball that was considered to be in play. The batter was called out. Of course, being a season ticket holder, he found a way to sneak back into the stadium and see the rest of the ball game.
Yes, he did. Biggio hits one down the line, fair ball into the corner. And Biggio on his way to second base with a stand-up 1-out double. For Biggio, only his 2nd hit in 9 at-bats.
Well, Biggio came close to hitting it down in that coffin corner, but the ball stays right down the third base line. You can see Overcam in his head hooking. Ball safely in left field, rolls all the way down to the base of the foul pole. Of course, there's also a bench out there where the relief pitchers sit. Many times the ball will rattle around over there underneath that bench, and the ball is in play unless it becomes stuck in a piece of equipment or stuck under a chair, at which point the outfielder will raise his hands and call the umpire out to take a look.
The Astros have the go-ahead run at second base, 1 away here in the 6th inning, and Richard Hidalgo, the batter. Hidalgo struck out swinging in the 1st inning. He singled to center field in the 4th. Hitchcock turns it loose, and it's ball 1 down low. Donnie Wall, the right-hander, has started to warm up in the San Diego bullpen. Biggio leads at second base with 1 away, and the 1-0 to Hidalgo. Missed inside and low, 2 balls and no strikes. Astros hoping to smile when all is said and done at the end of tonight. Be a long plane ride home to Houston, but they'll gladly take it. Game 5 would be tomorrow night. And where else would you turn for a big one in baseball than Fox? If there is a Game 5, we'll have it right here. 2-1. For Hidalgo, this is his first start in the division series. Carl Everett was in center field for the first 3 games.
Hitchcock paying a lot of attention to Craig Biggio at second base. Number 1, to try to prevent Biggio from stealing third, and number 2, to shorten up his lead in the event Hidalgo can hit the ball into the outfield, give his outfielders a chance to throw Biggio out at home plate.
2-1 pitch. You saw Biggio dancing around there at second base, trying to disrupt the concentration of Hitchcock.
Of course, Hitchcock's going to keep a close eye on his second baseman, Kilvio Veras. If Veras flashes his glove and breaks to second base, that's the indication he wants a pickoff throw.
Good pitch there on the inside corner, belt high, 3-2.
Generally, a runner at second base, you can see the second baseman out of the corner of your eye. Craig Biggio knows where Kilvio Veras is. He really relies on his third base coach, Mike Cubbage, to let him know where the shortstop is. Gomez playing behind Biggio. He cannot see him.
3-2. Fouled away. Bobby, is Biggio giving you any kind of sign that he's going to take off for third base?
Well, the only thing that may indicate that perhaps he's going to try to run is he's taking his lead off pretty much directly down the baseline. Normally, if you're not going to steal, you lead off 2 or 3 steps behind that line so you can round the bag at third and try to score. If you're going to try to steal the base, generally you come up directly in the baseline to cut down the distance.
Biggio to go ahead run at second. 3-2 again to Hidalgo, and again he's able to fight it off and wait for another pitch, perhaps a better pitch from Hitchcock.
This is the look that Mike Cubbage gets over in the third base coach's box, letting his runner know where that shortstop is at all times. And as I mentioned, Biggio can see the second baseman out of the corner of his eye.
Hidalgo pops it up. Behind the mound, the shortstop Gomez will call off Veras, and he tucks it in the leather 2 away. Biggio stays put.
You know, one thing that's taken for granted, but if you've been watching the postseason this year, good teams communicate constantly. This is a routine pop-up in the middle of the infield. Kilvio Veras initially calls for it. Chris Gomez comes in. He's calling for it. And Veras gives way with the aid of the pitcher, Sterling Hitchcock. He's letting Gomez know it's your ball, take it, take it. Good teams that consistently make the routine plays communicate better than the teams that aren't playing at this time of the season.
So now Derek Bell with a lead run at second, and it's ball 1 high and away. Bell 2 of 14 in the series with a home run and a run batted in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out ending the first inning, bounced into a big double play in the fourth. Houston trying to take its first lead of the game. 2-0.
It looked like that might have been a cross-up right there, which is really hard to believe since Leyritz catches Hitchcock almost exclusively. But watch the reaction of Jim Leyritz on this pitch. He seemed like he was fooled. The glove started to go to the inside corner. Perhaps he was crossed up. Perhaps that pitch just didn't react the way Leyritz anticipated. Sometimes a pitcher will try to overthrow a breaking ball and it won't break at all.
Big pitch here at 2-0 to Bell. And he chops it foul up the third baseline. Bell would like a repeat performance of his at-bat against Donnie Wall in Game 2.
Hit that ball a long way in the Houston Astrodome. Very much a dead-air ballpark. Donnie Wall, the right-hander, was up in the bullpen last inning for the Padres.
That gave Houston a 4-2 lead, and then, of course, Leyritz again providing the dramatics in the ninth with a 2-run home run to right against Billy Wagner. Donnie Wall is loosening up. 2-1 to Bell. And now it's 2-2 as he fouls it back. Hitchcock trying to survive the 6th inning and keep this game tied at 1. It's 2-2 to Bell. Three and two. Jeff Bagwell waits on deck. Boy, this crowd, enough adrenaline to liven a corpse here at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. Trying to get to the National League Championship Series for just the 2nd time in franchise history. The 3-2 to Bell. His strike 3 called. Inning over. The go-ahead run left at second after 5.5. Still a 1-1 game. You're watching Fox, home of the '98 World Series.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers.
Sterling Hitchcock fired up after the called strike 3 to Derek Bell to end the inning. Usually not a very emotional man out there on the mound, but you got to get fired up making a big pitch like that when you need it.
Game 4 of the National League Division Series. San Diego in front 2-1. We're tied 1-1 as we open the 6th, and there is a fly ball into right field. Derek Bell is there, 1 away. And Randy Johnson has retired 11 in a row.
Hitchcock and Jim Leyritz, his catcher, congratulating each other in the bullpen. Dave Stewart just double-checking with his left-hander, making sure everything's copacetic at this point. You know, early in the game, Hitchcock was using the big curveball that he struck Derek Bell out with to end the last half inning. He scrapped it for a couple innings, went to the hard slider.
Went in a one-hopper to Gutierrez and quickly 2 away. One of the world's most enduring symbols, the Goodyear Blimp Eagle, has been providing our aerial pictures tonight on a beautiful night in San Diego.
You know, a pitcher that has a repertoire like Sterling Hitchcock, you can do that. You can feature a pitch early in the ballgame, as he did with his split finger and his big overhand curveball. He went away from the curveball, went more to the hard slider, more to the sinking fastball, but when he needed to go back to it, he still had that curveball in his back pocket.
So now Greg Vaughn. Cooled there on the pitch from Johnson. It's 0-1. Greg Vaughn, the 27th player in Major League history, the 10th in National League history to hit 50 or more home runs in a season. And remember, he homered off Randy Johnson in Game 1 of this series. On single to left field in the first inning tonight, he bounced out to bury a third, ending the third. Fly ball into short left field. Coming in is Alou looking for help, and the ball drops. You talked about the communication on the San Diego defense earlier, Bobby. Poor communication there by the Astros.
Well, as an infielder, you have to go after every pop fly ball until you're called off by an outfielder. You can see right there as he went into his slide, Moises Alou was still checking Ricky Gutierrez. Alou was never in a position to call for and catch that ball. You can see him take that last peek down there. One peek, he's going to take another peek right there before he slides. Gutierrez, I feel, gave up on that ball too quickly.
It scored a double, and now the Padres a chance to take the lead. Caminiti down a strike.
Now, you don't see any kind of a call from Moises Alou, which would indicate that Ricky Gutierrez needs to continue to chase that ball. Gutierrez gave way before hearing his outfielder call him off.
Vaughn at second with 2 away. And a high chopper down to bury a third. Should end the inning. Throw gets by. lead 2-1.
Just an awful throw from Sean Berry, the high bouncer. He's got plenty of time to get the ball across the infield, but puts it in the dirt to Jeff Bagwell, who tries to pick it out of the dirt clean. With the runner at second base and 2 outs in the inning, Bagwell may have decided to come out and block that ball. You have to keep that ball in front of you to prevent Greg Vaughn from scoring all the way from second base. Apparently Bagwell felt he had a good enough hop that he could pick the ball out of the dirt, but he wasn't able to come up with it. Ball goes into the stands.
Well, the Houston defense has fallen apart these last 2 batters in the 6th inning.
No, there's absolutely nothing tough about this play. High bouncer, plenty of time to make the throw across the infield. He throws Bagwell a nasty sinker. And as I mentioned, Bagwell perhaps should have come off the bag and blocked that ball to keep it in front and not allow the run to score.
So now Jim Leyritz, he hit a solo home run in the 2nd inning to left field off Johnson. And then Leyritz looked at strike 3 in the 4th. Fouls that one out of play.
And this was all set up by the miscommunication or lack of communication on the part of Moises Alou and his shortstop Ricky Gutierrez. I got it, you take it. And the ball drops between them for a double.
Caminiti at second, 2-1. Padres lead in the 6th. Runner going to third base and no throw, but it's strike 3 to Leyritz. Doesn't matter. 1 run, 1 hit, a huge error by Sean Berry. We go to the 7th, 2-1 Padres. We're back after this word from your local station. Tom Brenneman, Bob Brenly, our entire Fox crew back at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. The Padres own a 2-1 lead at the end of 6. For those of you watching the NFL matchup between Seattle and Kansas City, we understand that game has been suspended because of lightning and heavy rain. Temporarily suspended that game in the 2nd quarter. But welcome to Game 4 of the National League Division Series. Jimmy Leyritz homered off Randy Johnson in the 2nd inning for a 1-0 Padres lead. Houston tied it on a 2-out single by Jeff Bagwell that scored Biggio in the 4th. And then terrible Houston defense in the 6th inning led to an unearned run against Randy Johnson. And now taking over on the mound for Sterling Hitchcock, who was brilliant through 6. 13-game winner during the regular season, right-hander Joey Hamilton.
Hamilton pitched in Game 2 of this series, picking up for Andy Ashby. He threw 3 innings of relief, gave up only 1 base hit, struck out 3 batters, did not allow a run. Nasty, hard sinker, hard slider. You get a look at his numbers on the season. Surrendered only 15 home runs in just over 217 innings pitched.
Many will tell you that Hamilton has been an underachiever with his stuff. That stuff you were talking about, Bob. He's gone to 3-0 on Bagwell to begin the inning.
Now, one of the early scouting reports we saw in my days as a coach with the Giants on Joey Hamilton was he throws a turbo sinker. I guess that's a little faster and a little harder than a regular sinker, but tremendous movement on all his pitches.
3-1 to Bagwell. And there's ball 4. Hamilton passes Bagwell to open the 7th. We invite you to watch for the Gillette Mach 3 Strike Zone Challenge prior to Game 4 of the 1998 World Series here on Fox. You'll see a lucky fan get a chance to throw a pitch for $2 million. That will be something.
Yes, it will.
Well, not a good start for the 64,898 as Hamilton walks Bagwell to open a 7th. And now Alou down a strike. Dan Miceli, who pitched so well for the Padres last night in their Game 3 victory, starts to loosen up in the bullpen. Well, Hamilton takes over on the mound. Jim Leyritz has been lifted from the game, and Carlos Hernandez is now the new Padre catcher.
Hernandez considered to be the better defensive catcher of the two. thrown out about 25% of the runners attempting to steal against him this year.
1-1 to Alou, who has bounced out to Kilby O'Veras at second and popped up to Veras his last trip in the fourth. The Astros winners of 102 games during the regular season. They're down 2 games to 1 in this division series. This could be 2. It's under the glove of Gomez. On his way to third is Bagwell. So the porous Houston defense in the 6th inning, and now San Diego returning the favor.
Well, it's really necessary for Joey Hamilton's defense behind him to make these plays. He's very much a ground ball pitcher. With that hard sinker and hard slider, everything moving down to the ground. Normally, defensively, the Padres know when Joey Hamilton's in the ball game, they're going to get their share of work, but Gomez just does not get down, allows the ball to go through into center field, and Bagwell streaks all the way around to third base.
Number 28, Bill Spires.
Gomez committed 12 errors during the regular season. And a big one here in the 7th inning as Bill Spires is sent up to bat in place of Sean Berry. Spires has had a good series. 4 hits in 12 at-bats. It's his first time as a pinch hitter, and of course he delivered the game-winning base hit back in Game 2 against Trevor Hoffman. Tying run at third, go ahead run at first, nobody out in the Houston 7th inning.
Billy Spires came up with a big game-winning hit in Game 2 against Trevor Hoffman. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Very much a defensive swing, was fooled by the pitch, but he was able to drag that bat through the strike zone, keep it in the hitting area a long time, and make contact and line the ball into right field.
1-0 pitch. Fooled him by pulling the string on a changeup right there. 1-1 to Spires.
Just to reinforce what I was saying about Joey Hamilton and his ability to throw ground balls throughout his career, he's averaged over 2 ground balls for every fly ball he surrenders. You know, as an infielder behind Joey Hamilton, you are going to be busy.
Gomez, a defensive miscue a moment ago on a ball that should have been a double play ball off the bat of Moises Alou. And that one driven down the right field line, hooking foul without a play.
Well, early in the season, the Padres were supposedly shopping for a shortstop. Barry Larkin's name came up. Royce Clayton's name came up. Apparently they could not get the deal done. They stuck with Chris Gomez, and offensively, at least, it paid off. The last 42 games of the season, he hit .346 for him and played very stellar defense, very solid defense.
Runners on the corners, nobody out. Houston trailing 2-1, and that missed Lone away. Hamilton passed over in this pitching rotation by manager Bruce Bochy. We mentioned Hamilton, a 13-game winner during the regular season. Hitchcock only won 9. But Hitchcock a lower ERA, and certainly a wise decision by Bochy, as Hitchcock was terrific, allowing just 1 run, striking out 11 in 6 innings tonight. Time is called by Spires at the plate. The 2-2 pitch, and it's hooked, picked up, and Joyner's going to come home, and they have Bagwell on a rundown. Hernandez feeding the third baseman Caminiti. He flips to Joyner, who makes the tag. But both runners advancing, Alou to third base, and Spires all the way to second.
Well, what a play by Wally Joyner at first base. His initial look is to second to try to turn 2. As he stumbled there, he realized it was going to be tough to turn the double play, so he looks up, sees Bagwell halfway home and makes the throw to the catcher, Carlos Hernandez. The ensuing rundown and good base running by the Astros to advance both runners into scoring position, but this play is made by Wally Joyner at first base. Keeping his head under pressure, initially was looking to turn the double play, realized that was not a possibility, and got the runner trying to score from third.
Tying run at third base. The go-ahead run is at second. 2-1 Padres in the seventh with one out, and Gutierrez the batter, and what a play by Carlos Hernandez. You mentioned it, Bobby. He replaced Larich because of his defense.
He's a real dirt dog. He blocks the ball back there with any part of his body he can get in front of it. That pitch is way out in the left-handed batter's box. He just sticks the glove out there and is fortunate to get a piece of that ball. Has a split finger that was headed for the backstop. No way you can get your body in front of that ball. You just try to knock it down however you best can.
1-0 to Gutierrez, who has struck out twice, and another outstanding play made by Hernandez, who wants timeout. He'll visit Hamilton on the mound.
Take one more look at the play by Wally Joyner. I tell you, once again, this is a veteran keeping his cool in a very pressure-packed situation. As I mentioned, I think his initial thought was to go to second base. As he bobbled the ball momentarily, that was no longer an option. He was surprised to look up and see Bagwell halfway between third and home, realized they had a play, and there you see Billy Spires advancing on to second base as the rundown continued.
Well, Bruce Bochy visited the mound while we were away on the replay, and he looked down at Dan Maselli, and he's going to stay with Hamilton.
Well, he's probably a little frustrated with his pitcher, Joey Hamilton. We've talked about that nasty sinker that he features, and it appeared that he threw two consecutive split fingers in the dirt outside to Ricky Gutierrez. Now they're going to go ahead and pass him intentionally and go after Brad Ausmus, the on-deck hitter. This sets up a double play at any base.
And you wonder if Maselli is going to be brought in from the bullpen. Maselli curious about the same answer to the question. And Bruce Bochy will make the change. The Astros have the bases loaded, trailing 2-1 with one out in the seventh. We'll be back. Well, Randy Johnson, the huge pickup at the trade deadline. His Astros, perhaps the season hanging in the balance, trailing 2-1 in the best-of-5 divisional series. The Astros have the bases loaded with one away. Brad Ausmus coming up against a new pitcher, Dan Maselli.
Now Maselli, the winner in Game 3, the loser in Game 2. Struck out Billy Spires with the bases loaded in Game 3.
Ausmus struck out swinging in the third, did the same thing in the fifth. Bases loaded, one away. Strike one to Ausmus.
Maselli, a hard thrower. You get a look at his numbers on the season. The fine 10-5 record out of the bullpen. Almost a strikeout per inning. Good hard fastball. We just saw the overhand curve there to Brad Ausmus. Change of speeds very rarely. Very much a power pitcher.
Fouled out of play, and Maselli quickly ahead at 0-2. Well, many felt going into the playoffs the Houston Astros were the team that would take down the Atlanta Braves. But all of a sudden, they've run into the Padres, a team that could barely buy a win in the month of September, after making many believers in the National League that they were the best team through the first 5 months of the season. 64,898 come to their feet. Maselli looking for the strikeout of Ausmus. It's 0-2 with the bases loaded and one away. Randy Johnson would be next. It's an easy decision for Larry Dierker if Ausmus can't get the run home. If the Astros do score, do you stay with Johnson as Hernandez wants time?
Having a lot of communication problems here between Maselli and Carlos Hernandez with the runner at second base. They're using a series of signs so that second base runner cannot steal them and relay them to the hitter. It's one thing to not let the runner know what's going on, but the pitcher and catcher have to know what's going on.
Moises Alou, the runner at third base. Bill Spires at second. Ricky Gutierrez intentionally walked, is at first. Padres lead 2-1. We're in the seventh with one out. It's 0-2 to Ausmus. Got him looking on the outside corner.
Man, with all those delays and all the signal problems, you'd figure they'd come up with something tricky. Nothing tricky about that. A fastball right on the outside corner. Brad Ausmus can only look on. Randy Marsh with the strike call. Brad Ausmus looking back. Looked like he said that hasn't been a strike all night long, Randy. Randy Marsh, the home plate umpire tonight. Very few beefs from the players in this ballgame. He's called a very consistent game behind the plate.
Well, the night is over for Randy Johnson. He'll be taken down for a pinch hitter. Houston with the bases loaded in the seventh. Johnson 6 innings, allowed only 3 hits. 2 runs. 1 run was earned. A routine pop fly with 2 down and nobody on in the 6th inning. Fell in between Ricky Gutierrez and Moises Alou. Then Ken Caminiti hit a 1-hopper at Sean Berry. Berry threw it away, allowing the go-ahead run to score. Everett started the first 3 games of the series. 2 hits and 12 at-bats, has not knocked in a run. But he had an outstanding regular season.
And much stronger from the left side of the plate where he is right now.
He pops it up. Left side of the infield. Caminiti backpedals, and the Padres survive. After 6.5, 2-1, San Diego.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers.
High above, the Goodyear Blimp Eagle has been providing our beautiful aerial pictures tonight. At the controls, pilot Nick Nocolari. The Astros leave the bases loaded in the top of the 7th inning and trail 2-1 and 2 games to 1. In this National League Division Series, Trevor Miller is now on in relief of Randy Johnson.
There's the Padres bench after that pop-up to end the inning. Able to escape damage. Did not allow a hit in the inning. They made an error, but left the bases loaded.
And Miller has gone 3-0 on Joyner. So Randy Johnson, a man who was brought over on the trade deadline July the 31st, cannot win this game. He can only be hung with a loss or a no decision.
Trevor Miller's numbers on the season. Throws a sinking fastball. His best pitch is a curveball when he's ahead in the count.
And there's ball 4 for Wally Joyner. Bill Spires has stayed in the game to take over for Berry at third base. But perhaps too late. It was Berry's throwing error that gave San Diego this 2-1 lead in the 6th inning. And Larry Dierker will summon the right-hander Doug Henry from the bullpen. We're in the 7th. Padres lead by a run. We'll be back. Jim Leyritz remembering his former teammate Darryl Strawberry, wearing Darryl's number 39 on his hat tonight. Certainly we send all our thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery to Darryl Strawberry. 2-1 ball game. Padres lead. A leadoff walk to Wally Joyner by Trevor Miller. Now Doug Henry takes over on the mound and faces Ruben Rivera. And he bunts it back to the mound. They're going to go to second, and they'll get the lead runner. Wednesday night, it'll be game 1 of the National League Championship Series. One of the teams here tonight will head to Atlanta, where the Braves will look for another National League Championship. That'll be Wednesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here on Fox, your home of the World Series. And if there's a Game 5 in this series, we'll have it for you tomorrow night, getting underway at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Chris Gomez looks at ball 1.
Doug Henry on for the Astros. You see his numbers on the season. Sinker, slider, split finger type of a pitcher. Very much a power pitcher earlier in his career. A little more of a nibbler, of a finesse pitcher this year. Pitched in 75 ball games last year for Dusty Baker in San Francisco. 59 games this year for the Astros.
Well, who would have thought when this series started that Randy Johnson would go to the mound twice in the first 4 games and not come away with a win? Gomez pops it up right side of the infield, and Biggio has it for the second out of the inning. I mean, Bobby, that's the reason they went and got Randy Johnson. Everyone knew Houston had a good team. Not many believed the Astros had a great team, or a team that could legitimately challenge the Atlanta Braves.
Well, I don't really think it's any fault of Randy Johnson. Some miscommunication on the part of his defense, a complete collapse on the part of his offense, and Randy Johnson has found himself looking up at a 2-1 deficit here.
One of the runs against Johnson unearned. And now the batter is Carlos Hernandez.
I mean, the only thing more Randy Johnson could have done to help his own cause was to hit a little bit. And that's out of the question at this point.
Quick throw down to first base. And back standing up, Ruben Rivera.
Rivera has good speed. He attempted 6 stolen bases this year, was successful in 5 of those attempts. After putting down a miserable sacrifice bunt attempt, bunting the ball right back to the mound. You may see the Padres try to get him into scoring position here with 2 outs.
Time was asked for and granted before the first pitch. Well, a high-octane Houston offense. See what they did during the regular season. First in runs, first in on-base percentage, second in average, and second in steals. But a grand total of 8 runs through nearly 4 games in this series. Into shallow right center field. Biggio won't get it. Base hit by Hernandez, and advancing on to third is Rivera.
Hernandez is a strong hitter, and he'll hit mistakes hard, but if you make good pitches, he's still strong enough to cue that ball off the end of the bat out into shallow right center field. Padres have runners at the corners with 2 outs. See Biggio trying to go back, make the over-the-shoulder catch. He can't get there. Derek Bell playing very deep, not able to come in and catch the ball.
Runners on the corners, 2 away, and now it's Kilby Oberas. And he takes high and away, ball 1. This is a huge hitter in the inning for Doug Henry. Beres is 0 for 3. You have an 8-time batting champion waiting in the on-deck circle. The 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Tony Gwynn hoping for a chance here in the bottom of the 7th as Padres lead the series 2-1. They lead on the scoreboard in game 4, 2-1.
That's it. Fake pick off the third, wheel around, and hope to catch the guy leaning too far again off first base. Very rarely works. hardly ever works.
2-0 to Veras. 3 balls and no strikes. And now 64,898. They're getting quite a workout in San Diego, sitting and standing. Quieted momentarily.
I would anticipate Veras is probably going to look at another pitch, force Henry to throw him 2 more strikes to get him out this at bat. Veras threw 84 walks on the season. He can be a very patient hitter.
Runners at first and third, 2 away. 3-1 pitch. Went after it. Been the knock on Veras. While at times he will practice patience, situational hitting like this, knowing Gwynn's next, goes after the 3-1.
Well, not only knowing that Tony Gwynn is the next hitter as we get a look at this pitch. It may have been a borderline strike. We'll never know for sure. But at least now the count at 3-2, that runner at first will be off and going with the pitch. Very little chance of a force play at second base. And with Veras' speed, depending on where he hits the ball, he may be able to leg it out.
Rivera at third, Hernandez at first, 2 away. 3-2 pitch. On the ground, back up through the middle. Biggio is there, inning over. 1 hit, 2 men left. We go to the 8th. Top of the order due up. 2-1 San Diego.
You can feel it down there, and it's tough. Your stomach will get in knots, and you feel your heart beating a little faster. And so it's, it's not, I can't describe it as fun, but it's the essence of the sport, is being in the dugout with a close game late. And if you're a competitor, you got to say you like that, even though you might not be having what you might term as fun.
Well,
competitors call it fun. It is nerve-wracking. It is gut-wrenching. You see Houston #1 in 1-run games this year, so Larry Dierker's had a chance to have, if you call it fun.
Dan Maselli on the mound, top of the order for Houston. Biggio to lead things off, and he looks at a strike. Biggio has bounced to second, been hit by a pitch, scored a run on Bagwell's 2-out single in the 4th. Then he doubled with 1 out in the 6th and never moved as Hidalgo popped up and Bell struck out.
That's a pitch that the Padres have been able to get Craig Biggio to chase with regularity. The fastball up around the letters and even a little bit higher. Biggio's a very good high fastball hitter, but they've been able to keep that pitch just above the limit of where he's able to handle it.
A huge inning, needless to say, for Houston, knowing that if San Diego has a lead, the 9th inning belongs to Trevor Hoffman. And no reliever in the major leagues this season has been as dominating as Trevor Hoffman. He struck out the side to pick up the save in Game 3 last night. Two-1 to Biggio. Chased that pitch up and came up empty.
Well, many times the best pitch to throw a high fastball hitter is a pitch that's higher than high. The pitch that he likes to swing at, but it's about 2 or 3 inches higher than he can handle.
Strike 3. Biggio has something to say to Randy Marsh, a home plate umpire, as he walks away. Out #1 in the 8th.
Well, I think that's just frustration on Biggio's part. This looked like a pretty good fastball right there on the inside part of the plate. Hernandez was set up outside. Perhaps that's what Biggio's complaining about. Many times the hitter will look back to the catcher and see where he caught the ball. And because Hernandez was set up outside, he was reaching back across the inside part of the plate to catch that strike.
Sterling Hitchcock still in line to pick up the victory. If San Diego's bullpen can shut down Houston. 2 runs, 4 hits, 5 left for the Padres. 1 run, only 3 hits, and 5 left on base for the Astros.
One more look. Strike 3 called on Biggio. He looks back, has a few words. He thought it was low. You could read his lips right there.
13 Astros have struck out in the game. 11 against Hitchcock, 2 against Misfelli.
And that's what will happen. When you take a pitch that you think is low, you go back to the bench and try to find somebody to back you up. That was low, wasn't it? I think that was low, wasn't it? Did you get a look at it?
Hidalgo 1 of 3. Behind 0-2. Boy, Misfelli last night and tonight has been outstanding. And now Trevor Hoffman begins to throw in the San Diego bullpen. The crowd here sensing that the Padres are now 4-5 outs away from a trip to the League Championship Series. Soft liner caught by Gomez. 2 away in the 8th.
Well, the Padres can definitely turn this into an 8-inning ball game when they've got that man warming up in the bullpen for the last inning. He's in that 50 save club, 3rd all-time behind Bobby Thigpen and Randy Myers.
The only blown save all season long by Hoffman, all year, the only one he blew, was against the Houston Astros here in San Diego. 0-1 to Derek Bell. What a series this has been between 2 teams that many believe will give the Atlanta Braves all they want and more in the League Championship Series, regardless of which team advances. One-0 pitch to Derek Bell. 2 balls and no strikes. Bell 0 for 3 has struck out twice and bounced into a double play.
And there's a couple different schools of thought, Tom, depending on which one of these teams advances. Regardless, they've had a very competitive, intense series right leading into the NLCS. The Braves have been home resting up. Some people say it's an advantage to rest. Other people feel it's an advantage to stay competitive right into the NLCS.
2-1 now to Bell. Should Derek Bell reach, perhaps we'll see Trevor Hoffman here in the 8th inning. San Diego a 2-1 lead. But the Astros, they have been a come-from-behind team in every sense of the word this season. 48 come-from-behind wins. 27 in their final at-bat. Driven hard into right center field. Rivera there, inning over. The San Diego Padres, when leading after 8, are 176-0 the last 2 years.
The 1998 National League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by AT&T. It's all within your reach. And by new Advil Liquid Gels. Pain relief at the speed of liquid.
We're back in San Diego. Padres come to bat. Bottom of the 8th inning. Kevin Brown reacting. The line drive. Did Ruben Rivera get it? Yes, sir.
Not only a competitor when he's out there on the mound, but #1 cheerleader on the bench tonight.
Tony Gwynn, Greg Vaughn, Ken Caminiti due up against Doug Henry. And it's ball 1 to Gwynn, 0 for 3 tonight. And 2 of 14 in the series. They love Tony Gwynn here in San Diego. He played collegiately at San Diego State, where he starred in both baseball and basketball. In fact, they just renamed the baseball stadium at San Diego State Tony Gwynn Stadium. They could make his birthday a national holiday, and that'd be all right with everybody here.
Yeah, something you very rarely see from Tony Gwynn, a swing and a miss. Only 6% of the swings he took this year did he not make contact. When he swings it, he hits it.
It's an amazing number. He hits it hard, right center field. Over to try and cut it off, Derek Bell. He does so, but not before Gwynn slides in with a double.
Well, the swing and the miss was the exception. This is the norm. Tony Gwynn laying out a line drive to right center field on a high fastball. That Achilles injury has really slowed Tony Gwynn on the bases, but he's still able to leg out the double.
Tony Gwynn being taken down for a pinch runner, Steve Finley. Gwynn went to the World Series with the Padres back in 1984. Vaughn, straight away center field. Finley tagging up. Making the catch is Hidalgo, and Finley will advance.
Tony Gwynn, such a great hitter, but what he doesn't get credit for a lot of times is the warrior that he is. You could see him as he came off the field for the pinch runner. He could barely walk, limping back to the Padres bench, but somehow found the intestinal fortitude to leg out that double on a very, very sore foot.
Not a classier superstar in all of professional sports than Tony Gwynn. Many, many times Gwynn could have elected free agency, gone to another team who had a better chance to win, that would be more competitive, and there were some lean years here in San Diego. For the Purge in the late 1980s.
8 National League batting titles, 14-time All-Star. He is the most proud of that last bullet point. 5-time Gold Glove winner. When Gwynn got to the major leagues, he was considered to be a defensive liability.
Caminiti announced as a hitter, and Larry Dierker will walk to the mound and bring on the right-hander warming up in the bullpen, Jay Powell. We'll take a break in the action. Padres 3 outs away from a trip to Atlanta.
Watch the effort on the part of Tony Gwynn legging out this double. Keep a look on his face. Every time that foot hits the ground, he's in pain, but refuses to give up, refuses to stop. Tremendous determination on the part of Tony Gwynn, and don't you think his teammates appreciate it? They know what that man's going through right now. They know what he means to this ball club, not only as a player on the field, but as an emotional leader.
Gwynn will now sit and watch. Padres lead 2-1, bottom of the 8th inning. Runner at third with one away. The batter is Ken Caminiti against a new pitcher, hard-throwing right-hander Jay Powell. Infield in, and it's ball one in the dirt, smothered nicely by Brad Ausmus.
See Jay Powell's numbers on the season. You said it, Tommy. Very much a hard thrower, a strikeout pitcher, good live fastball. Very inconsistent with his breaking ball, as we saw right there on the first pitch to Ken Caminiti. Bounce that slider out in front of home plate.
Caminiti 0 for 3. And it's 2-0. Caminiti struck out swinging in the first and again in the fourth against Randy Johnson. And now they're going to intentionally walk him after falling behind 2-0. And then, of course, Caminiti hit the routine one-hopper at Sean Berry, then the Houston third baseman. With Greg Vaughn at second and 2 away, and Berry threw the ball away, giving San Diego this one-run lead. Meanwhile, John Vander Wal has moved into the on-deck circle as Trevor Hoffman is ready in the Padres bullpen, but Houston cannot allow this third run to score, can they?
Absolutely not. In a one-run ball game, you've still got an opportunity. A walk and a home run, a bloop and a blast. Somehow you can get back into the ball game. A two-run deficit, suddenly you've got to have a big offensive inning to get back in the ball game.
Vanderwall brought over from Colorado. Two big in-season acquisitions by Kevin Towers, the San Diego general manager, picking up Vanderwall and Jim Leyritz. Infield in, and a pitch from Powell is fouled off, strike one to Vanderwall. This season, Vanderwall, 3 pinch hit home runs, 14 pinch hit runs batted in.
The Astros playing in all the way to cut off that run at home plate. Should the Padres elect not to send Steve Finley on a ground ball, the Astros would only be able to get one out in the situation. No way either middle infielder will be able to get back to cover second.
Runner going first to second, driven to right center. It'll go to the wall. Finley scores. Here comes Caminiti. On to third as Vanderwall pinch hit 2-run triple.
Toughest jobs in all of baseball is to come off the bench late in the game after sitting there cold, watching 8 innings, facing the other team's toughest relief pitchers. And John Vanderwall more often than not comes through, and perhaps no bigger pinch hit in his career than this one. Fastball down and in, he golfed it into the gap in right center field.
4-1 San Diego. And now the batter is Wally Joyner. Infield still in, and it's ball one. And we brought up earlier, the San Diego team, they had a great 5 months, and then just a bad September. Fly ball, deep right field, drifting back, Derek Bell, that ball is gone. Has electrified the nearly 65,000 at Qualcomm Stadium. 6-1 Padres lead.
Wally Joyner has not supplied a lot of power this year. He's been nursing a very tender biceps muscle in his left arm throughout the season, but gets just enough of that pitch to put it over the orange stripe out where the palm trees grow. Wally Joyner very rarely shows emotion on a baseball field. That's about as excited as you will ever see him. Coming up big at the right time.
Been a Hair Club for Men commercial tonight between Jim Leyritz and Wally Joyner. Each with a home run.
There's the two heroes of the inning. Vanderwall with the 2-run triple. Wally Joyner with the 2-run homer.
Well, the Padres, during the regular season, 174-0 when leading after 8 innings. If you throw in the 2 games in this division series, they are 176-0 when leading after 8. And again, a reminder, the National League Championship Series gets underway Wednesday night in Atlanta. And more than likely, you can scratch off Houston and put in San Diego. Although the Astros still have a chance in the 9th. And perhaps right now in baseball, there is no greater moment. And you'll see it in the 9th inning. And it doesn't matter if it's the same situation tonight. When Hoffman walks from the bullpen out to the mound, if you can't get pumped up about that, you're not breathing.
About a 48-inch vertical leap there on the part of Greg Vaughn. You know, what a tremendous feeling. Anybody that's ever competed at any level to go through something like this, the elation, the joy.
Carlos Hernandez, the batter, is down a strike. The Houston defense failed. The Houston offense failed. The Houston bullpen has failed tonight.
And there will be those that second guess Astros manager Larry Dierker. He's got Billy Wagner standing down on the bullpen mound. He was loose and ready to go when Powell was brought into the ball game to face Caminiti and Joyner. Caminiti, a much stronger hitter from the left side of the plate. By bringing in the right-hander, Caminiti stayed in the left-hand batter's box. The next hitter was a left-hander, Wally Joyner.
Randy Johnson started the game, allowed 1 run, 3 hits over his 6th inning. But so many areas where the Astros were so strong collapsed tonight.
Lack of communication between Moises Alou and Ricky Gutierrez. The bad throw by Sean Berry in the dirt. Perhaps Jeff Bagwell would be able to block that ball and keep it in front, prevent the run from scoring, but whatever the case, the Astros have really hurt themselves tonight defensively.
Then they had a chance to tie the game. With a runner at third, only 1 out, runners at second and third. And only 1 out in the 7th inning. They left the bases loaded in that inning. They had runners on the corners, none out. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Bases loaded, 1 out. Couldn't score. Two and two to Carlos Hernandez.
Well, as exciting and joyful as it is in that first base dugout, what a frustrating, empty feeling in the third base dugout. Grinding through a long season the way the Astros have, playing every game tough against the San Diego Padres in this series, this to have it all come unraveled here tonight.
Popped up behind the plate. Ausmus with room, and the inning is over. The Padres scored 4 times. It won't be a save situation, but Hoffman a chance to send the Padres to the National League Championship Series. Our Chevy Truck player of the game, Sterling Hitchcock, outdueled Randy Johnson through 6 innings tonight. Johnson allowed 2 runs, 1 earned. Hitchcock 1 run, 3 hits in 6 innings. Struck out 11. He's in line for the win. 6-1 as the Astros bat in the 9th inning against Trevor Hoffman. Hoffman emerged as the dominant closer in all of baseball. A National League record-tying and Major League leading total of 53 saves. Bagwell smokes it into right center field, but Steve Finley is there.
This has been a dominant season for Trevor Hoffman. Striking out way more than a batter an inning. The 53 saves, features a fastball, good hard slider, and a devastating straight changeup. Probably the best in baseball.
Moises Alou fouls it out of play. The one blown save all year long by Hoffman. It was on the 26th of July here at Qualcomm. And the man you're looking at, Moises Alou, broke Hoffman's consecutive save streak at 41 when he hit the first pitch in the 9th inning for a home run to tie the game at 4. A game, incidentally, that San Diego won. Well, Mark Langston has never had a chance to participate in the postseason. After nearly 20 years in the major leagues, you saw him on the San Diego bench. And what a disappointing series for the Houston Astros.
Well, there's no question about the amazing season they've had, especially offensively. We pointed it out earlier. #1 in the league in runs, #2 in hits, #2 in stolen bases. So many offensive weapons, but they were just never able to get on track.
High fly ball into left field. Vaughn is there, and the Padres are an out away from the league championship series. If you're looking ahead to the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves, the Braves won the season series 5-4. The Padres won 2 of 3 at Qualcomm, while Atlanta won 4 of the 6 games at Turner Field. And the Braves have beaten San Diego in the last 8 season series. And since 91, hold a 66-30 advantage over the Padres. Hoffman trying to put it on ice. One of the Spires. 2 balls and no strikes. Looking ahead to game 1, you know that it would be John Smoltz on the mound for Atlanta. Will Kevin Brown come back again on 3 days rest for San Diego?
I have to believe we're going to see Kevin Brown in game 1. Bruce Bochy said he was available to pitch tomorrow if necessary, perhaps out of the bullpen. Certainly indicate that he'll be ready to start game 1 of the NLCS.
2-1 to Bill Spires. 3 balls and a strike. Of course, Kevin Brown locked up with the Atlanta Braves last season during the league championship series with the Florida Marlins. And the Marlins, as the wild card entrant, advanced on to the World Series and, of course, won the World Series. Three and 2. The Padres an out away, a strike away of going to the National League Championship Series for the first time since '84. On the ground, Veras throws, and the Padres will march to Atlanta. Houston Astros, the highest scoring team in the National League this season, in 4 games against the Padres, score a total of 8 runs on a total of 22 hits.
Ricky Gutierrez has a long time to wait for his next at-bat, but the San Diego Padres are headed for Atlanta.
And what a series that should be, which gets underway on Wednesday night right here on Fox. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Bobby, you're on your way to do that series with Tim McCarver and Joe Buck. How do you see that one shaping up?
It's really hard to call at this point. It looked like the Padres were dead in the water, as you said, at the end of the season. They came sputtering into the postseason. But good teams seem to have the ability to throw that switch when everything's on the line, and the Padres certainly stepped up big when it was absolutely necessary that they do so. I anticipate a tremendous low-scoring NLCS this year.
And certainly a contrast. The Padres advancing to only their second league championship series. The League Championship Series beating Randy Johnson twice. An off-season of frustration for Houston. Michael Weissman, our producer, Jim Lynch, our director. For Bob Brentley, I'm Tom Brenneman. Thanks for joining us. Chip and Steve will be along from our Fox Network Center with some final thoughts. After these messages from your local station, congratulations to the San Diego Padres.
So the NLCS dance card is set. It's the San Diego Padres matching up with the Atlanta Braves. Game 1 from Turner Field in Atlanta right here on Fox. Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Oh, baby, what a pitching series we should see between Atlanta and San Diego. Hi again, everybody. Chip Carey along with Steve. Psycho Lions, what a scene it's got to be in that San Diego locker room. I don't think anybody thought they would be able to beat Randy Johnson twice, but that's exactly what the Padres did.
Well, this is a team that limped into the playoffs, Chip. I mean, they were 2-9 in their last few games during the playoffs. They beat Randy Johnson twice, and I'll tell you what, that guy right there, big apology to Sterling Hitchcock because he dominated. I didn't think he'd be able to get it done against the Killer Bees, but he did it. Jimmy Leyritz keeps himself, hey, give him another 2 years because this guy is a playoff performer, 96 and now 98. And what about Dan Maselli, the setup guy? One of the reasons why you don't know who he is because he does a great job doing what he does. You never know who a good setup man is because you don't have to hear about him. He just does his job.
And the Killer Bees, not much sting, just 105 for the Killer Bees in their last 2 playoff series. Let's go back to San Diego and Mark Furman with a San Diego guest.
All right, I'm with Sterling Hitchcock. Sterling, how does this moment feel?
Awesome. The guys have just battled all year long, and everybody counted us out, it seemed like, for the series. Said we couldn't beat Randy twice in a 5-game series. Well, we beat him twice in a 4-game series, and these guys never let up.
You know, Tony Gwynn said earlier this week you guys were a bit insulted that the national media didn't think that you guys could handle Houston. They would walk over you. What does this say about your team?
You know, it's just been the same all year long. They never quit. Guys have battled their butts off. When people said we couldn't do anything, you know, the guys have just stood up and they've gotten it done. And Brownie was incredible.
What about Jim Leyritz?
Unbelievable. What a series. You know, he's just got a history of being big in the postseason, and this series was no different.
What are some early thoughts about the Atlanta Braves, or can you even think Braves right now?
You know, we're just going to let this sink in a little bit, and I think we head to Atlanta tomorrow, and, you know, this is a big win for us right here, and we'll be ready.
Let me ask you one other question about the Astros. Holding them to 7 runs in 4 games, the highest scoring team in the National League. You got to be a little stunned.
You know, yes and no. Yes, with the offense that club can put up, the numbers that they can put up, you know, that is surprising. But this pitching staff has been the backbone of this team all year long, and you know, to say I'm totally surprised, no.
Your team is going berserk right now.
It's awesome. You know, we've played hard all year long for this, and it's exciting.
All right, Sterling, congratulations. Thanks a lot. Let's go back to the studio. Good job. Thanks, Sterling. You're welcome.
Look at all those celebratory faces for the San Diego Padres. They knock off the Houston Astros, and now they get ready to take on the Atlanta Braves. The San Diego pitching in this series was absolutely phenomenal. They shut down the Killer Bees once again, and as we've seen so many times with that Padre ball club, you get the lead in the 7th or 8th inning, game's over. With Maselli and Hoffman pitching the way they are, it becomes a 6 or 7 inning game.
Yeah, they've rattled off more than 175 straight wins if they're leading after 9 innings. You're not going to beat them after 8 innings, excuse me. The game is over. If if it gets to that point. And like you said, a lot of no-name guys you don't hear a lot about. They play down in San Diego. It's been tough for them. Bunch of gamers on this team, and I'll take team chemistry over a lot of talent anytime. These guys are very talented players, but they play well together. They get along. Like we said before, half the guys on the team have shaved heads. They really get along well, and they play well together, and they have a lot of confidence now knowing that they beat Randy Johnson twice, and they shut down one of the best offense in the National League. Coming into Atlanta should give them a lot of confidence now.
And a lot of veteran guys on that San Diego ball club. Kevin Brown, who has a World Series championship. Jim Leyritz, who won one with the Yankees. In fact, he was one of their big hitting heroes in this series, and again, he's standing by in San Diego.
Now I am with Jim Leyritz. Should I say Slugger Jim Leyritz? Can I call you Slugger?
You know, it's one of those things, like I said, it's been a good series, and we got the next step coming up in Atlanta, and hopefully we'll be ready for that.
What about the dinger, the solo home run off Randy in the second inning?
I tell you what, it's one of those things, like I said yesterday, I just swing the bat in case I hit it, and at that time of the day, it was hard to see the ball, and he made the pitch, and I unfortunately swung to the right place, and with his velocity, I was able to hit it out.
What is it about you and the postseason and home runs?
You know what, I have no explanation for it. I don't want to start thinking about it now. Just, like I said, I hope it continues to the next round.
What is this like for you guys, beating Houston like you did, holding them down and taking care of business to go to the next round?
You know, it's one of those things, when we first heard about it, Houston wanted to play us. And, we had been struggling in September, and we knew once we clinched it, once we clinched it, we'd be able to come back and step it up a notch again. Everybody did. And,
Were you bothered that Houston wanted you?
Well, yeah, we took it a little personal. It's one of those things that even Atlanta or anybody has said, we want to play the Padres right now because they're not playing real well. We knew we had the pitching staff and the bullpen, and, like I said, everybody executed, and it was a great team effort for us.
All right, Jim, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Best of luck against Atlanta.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's go back to the studio.
And Mark, thank you very much. Randy Johnson suffers his 5th straight postseason loss, this time as a member of the Astros. That's hard to believe. And how about Tony Gwynn back to the playoffs for the first time in a very long time?
Some guys you just love to see get that opportunity again. He's hurting. He's not the player that he once was, but he's still a gutty performer. You saw what he did today. And how about Jimmy Leyritz, a guy who you don't necessarily think of, but this guy had said, if I have to carry this team on my back, I'll do it. And he backed up those words with some huge home runs. I'm telling you what, the guy's been incredible.
For Atlanta, it's business as usual. They get back to the NLCS. For San Diego, they're sky high. Game 1 again will be Wednesday right here on Fox at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. How do you like this matchup now between the Padres and the Braves?
Well, I agree with what they said at the game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because of the pitching staffs, but you never know because both of these offenses now are starting to catch fire. I don't think the Atlanta Braves have quite the offense that San Diego does, and San Diego can absolutely shut the door after when the game's late, especially with Trevor Hoffman.
Well, Jim Leyritz, they call him the King. That's his nickname. He said, I'll carry this team on my shoulders if I have to. And he hit the big home run again against Randy Johnson today. That put him up 1-0. Wally Joyner late in the ball game cracked a 2-run homer. For San Diego, it was then lights out. 6-1 the score at that point. And then Trevor Hoffman in the ninth. The 1-2-3. And the Padres celebrate. They're going to the NLCS to battle Atlanta. And Steve and I will see you Wednesday on Fox at 8 o'clock. Until then, so long, everybody.